So, one of the first things that I teach my clients is I help them understand and create awareness around what is actually creating their emotions, right? So, a lot of times people think that it's outside circumstances that create their emotions or how you feel, but
Right.
it's really just the thoughts that you're thinking in the moment and your mindset. And so, for example, people might say, like, I got so mad at my spouse because he didn't take out the trash or she didn't take out the trash, like that's an
Right.
expectation. So my partner made me mad, right? That's how we talk.
Right.
And if I'm talking to a friend in casual conversation, of course I talk like that. But that's really inaccurate to say. Like no one can make you angry or make you upset really without your
Mhm.
permission. I
Hmm.
will say that sometimes the initial reaction, like we can get triggered. We initially get triggered. That's outside of our control, right? Something happens, we
Right.
get emotionally triggered. But if you take a second to process that emotion, so you sit with it for a second, you breathe it in, you get curious about it, you don't blame someone else for how you feel, you don't blame your work for stressing you out, you don't blame your partner for making you mad, you don't blame, your car breaking down for making you feel sad, whatever it is,
Right.
and you say, okay, what am I think? Let me breathe in this emotion. Let me process it. Let me feel it. What am I thinking in that moment that's creating the emotion? So,
Mhm.
for a lot of people, just doing this alone is really empowering because you start to begin to realize that it's not outside circumstances. You actually
Hmm.
have a lot more control over your emotional experience than you thought, and it's the
Yes.
way that
Right.
you think. That's usually the that's usually the first thing. Once you start understanding how to process emotions, you can use that to gain more self-awareness. And so the next time something like that triggers you, you can learn from it from the previous time. Oh, it
Mhm.
wasn't my partner that made me mad. I'm mad because I'm thinking this. What emotion do I want to feel and how do I want to respond next time when this happens? Like, and
Right.
I'm not saying, and negative, I'll say this too, negative emotions are not a bad thing. So, like, we embrace all negative emotions, we can learn from them. Sometimes negative emotions can be useful, but it's just like,
Right.
how do I want to feel? And how do I want to show up intentionally? And
Hmm.
how can I make sure I'm
Right.
doing that in the future? I would say that that's probably one of the first things that you do because you can't organize things when you don't have the awareness